What's up, Spice Droppers? It's Charlie from Ferndale. It's America's birthday, 250 to be exact. And what is more American than apple pie? Unfortunately, first I have to teach you how to make the pie crust. And trust me, homemade pie crust is easy enough and it's so much better than store-bought that you're gonna want to do this every time. So let's get cooking! Like I said, this is super easy and there's only 5 ingredients for this basic pie crust. The recipe makes 2 crusts, which you can use for 2 separate pies, or you can make a top and bottom crust for 1 pie. We're going to start with 325 grams of all-purpose flour, or roughly 2 2/3 cups. Next is 3 tablespoons of sugar. Please note, my baseline for sugar is 1 tablespoon, but since I know I'll be using this for a sweet pie, I'm adding extra. If this was for a pot pie, I would just use 1 tablespoon, and I would also add some herbs and pepper, but that's for another video. Take about half the flour and add it to a food processor. You can make this with a whisk and bowl, but the food processor is faster and easier, although it is much more fun by hand. After that flour is in, dump all the sugar in, and a couple pinches of salt. Pulse the processor 3 to 4 times just to mix everything. Now I have 2 sticks or 1 cup of butter cubed ahead of time and kept in the fridge. It's important that this is cold as it helps make the flaky layers. First, take 1 of the sticks or half a cup of butter and add it to the processor. Process this for about 15 to 30 seconds or so, or to the point where it's like breadcrumbs. Don't overdo it though, because we don't want to just obliterate the butter. It's actually similar consistency to that fake parmesan in the green jar. After that, we add the other half of the flour and butter. You're more than welcome to add it all in one step instead of 2, but this helps keep some of the butter in larger pebbles, and that helps more with the flakiness. Side note, mixing by hand gives a lot more control over the butter and keeping some of those pebbles smaller or bigger, and when you fold the dough over itself, those different sizes of butter are going to add a lot of texture once you bake the crust. But again, the food processor is so much faster and easier. So now pulse this a few times, ensuring that some of that new butter is not turned into the size of sand. You can look for pieces up to about the size of a pea or a cherry pit, and that's perfectly fine. And now comes the part that always baffles me, the ice water. I don't know why, and I've never Googled why, but I've always had better results with actual ice water instead of water out of the refrigerator. And the measurement is always different based on the temperature, humidity, elevation, who knows. Mars being in retrograde probably affects this too. I've used as little as 4 tablespoons and as much as 10. But you want to start with 4 tablespoons drizzled around and then process the mixture for 5 to 10 seconds. Now here's how to tell when it's ready. Take a spoonful and pour it into your hand and clench a loose fist. See how this here in my hand starts to fall apart as soon as I tap it with my thumb? That means it's not ready. And I'll be honest with you, this whole ice water thing is kind of trial and error. But the good news is, even if it's not perfect, the crust is usually edible. It might just be a little hard or fall apart while baking. I guess that's why they say practice makes perfect. Okay, back to the pie. I'm adding 2 more tablespoons of ice water, and I know this should be good, but if you do need to keep adding, do it 1 or 2 tablespoons at a time. It just happened to be like 98 degrees outside when I was cooking this, so I knew I wouldn't need much more. And look at this in my hand now. Squeeze it together, and it's staying together. So now I'm transferring this to a bowl, and honestly I just gave myself more to clean because I could have just put it on the table. So what I'm doing now though is going to help again with layers. I wouldn't say I'm kneading the dough, but it's more like folding it. And you also don't want to work it too much or the dough will get super dense. But if you think about these tiny little balls of butter that get smushed flat when you fold it over, and when you fold it over again it makes another layer, and so on. Now when all those little flat layers of butter melt in the oven, that creates the steam and the super thin air pockets that turn into flakiness. That's also where you get crumbs in bread because of the butter between the flour. Today's baking lesson is over, and now I'm just putting the dough on the table where it should have gone in the first place, and just gently and loosely making a ball. And take a look while I'm doing this. You can see the little pockets of butter that are oh so important, and you can just imagine those all throughout the entire dough. So once it's in a ball, remember we're making 2 crusts, so cut it in half with a dough scraper or a knife. Now we can roll these up and grab some plastic wrap and lay it out on the table. And we can take 1 of these dough balls and put it on the plastic wrap and press it down, keeping it in a circular shape so when we're ready to roll it out, it's already started in the right shape. Wrap this up real tight and do the same with the other dough ball. Take the 2 saucers of dough and put them in the fridge for about an hour, or overnight. or you can freeze these, but I would recommend rolling it out onto the pie plate before freezing. Okay, mine were in the fridge overnight, so I took them out about 10 minutes ago and let them sit. Unwrap a crust, flour your surface in a rolling pin, and start rolling it out. The baking mat comes in handy for measuring, but if you don't have one, just use the pie plate and make sure to roll it out an inch or two past the edges. And you also want to make sure it's not too thin or thick. Best mode of transportation is to roll the dough over the rolling pin and unroll it again over the pie plate. Don't be pushy with it though, be nice and gentle. Just softly and nicely lay it onto the plate. Then cut away the excess with a knife or shears. Make sure to keep a little overhang so we can fold it under and reinforce the edges. You can even use some of the excess dough to fix any tears you might have. So this dough is ready to be baked with filling, blind baked with no filling, or put in the freezer for later use. I will be happy to show you how to blind bake someday, but I'm ready to make an apple pie with this one, so peace and love, I love you. Now stay with me and click that apple pie link.